I listen to that song from time to time just to kind of like it brought a place of healing though, because it was like it felt like rappers don't always talk about things like this.
Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. Well, if you guys rock with me every week, you know what I do and how I do. I tell you a few things about our special guest. But before we do so, I would ask if you're new to my platform, please subscribe and you'll find out what Message Reveal is all about. Now let's get back to business so I can tell you about our special guest. Now let me get this information right. One, he's the founder and CEO of a nonprofit. Two, he also teaches. And last but not least, he's a mentor. You guys, please put your hands together and welcome my guest, Mr. Rob Lacy from
Such a warm
Manifestacademy.
welcome. Thank you.
How
I
are you?
appreciate that.
You are more than welcome. How are you doing today?
I feel wonderful. I got to wake up for one, and for another, I get to come to my workplace, which is a studio for youth.
Yes, we can't wait to find out more information about that. But I also want to tell you, you're taking time out of your Friday to sit with me, and I appreciate you.
Of course, of course. You're such a beautiful spirit. It's hard to say no.
I
I didn't
appreciate
even
that.
want to say no, honestly. I just, you're such a good vibe. I was like, yeah, please, by all means.
Well, I think you also were a good vibe as well because we didn't know each other. We didn't know what each
Yeah,
other actually did, and just the conversation we had. And I'm speaking to people, we met each other at First Friday on the 4th of July.
yeah. It was very busy and a very exciting night. There was a lot of fun and people were out and about. It was hundreds of people there.
Yeah. So I got the opportunity to meet you, and I mentioned about my podcast, and you said yes, and you were a man of your word. So thank you again.
Of course, of course.
So let's get down to business. Before we even go into your nonprofit and all that, tell me a little bit about who you are.
I am born and raised Minneapolis, Minnesota. I moved to California when I was in the eighth grade, and then grew up as an adolescent in San Pedro, California. And then as a young man, moved out on my own into Long Beach. So I have a lot of history and I guess grounding in Southern California, Long Beach, Orange County, that type of thing. When I was young, I was a musician. I started rapping when I was 16 years old, and high school freestyle ciphers,
Oh,
young kid chasing his passions and wanting to be on the source magazines and those things like that, and I it turned into I got into ministry and I got into like youth ministry at the age of 19, 20. I was like a pastor in training, a youth pastor for my local church, and that's where I learned all of my philanthropy and like to the care of others other than myself, and how to serve and things like that. So it stuck with me, throughout all these years. And I had my first kid, and the philanthropy gig I had was not paying the bills, so I needed to start my own family and had to take some corporate jobs, which allowed me to raise my children and hold down a household, but all the while felt that emptiness, because I knew what made me feel good when I was serving and helping people and stuff like that. So it's always stuck with me in this aspect, and till this day I still find myself in a pastorship aspect because it takes a lot of care to work with all these children, and it takes a lot of compassion, grace, understanding, and all those things that I learned from my pastorship and training and all those things and how to lead and stuff. So it's definitely I've never left.
I totally understand that. I thank you for kind of giving us some background because I want them to understand why are you in this segment, this business working with children. And a lot
Right.
of times we don't have the background for it. With
Yeah, and then
that,
my personal musicianship journey was all throughout that while too. I never stopped. Always doing concerts and shows and big time shows. I've performed on stages with some of my childhood favorites and got songs with like KRS-One and a bunch of different people that I had and still to this day look up to. And but in that moment it was like very surreal to have these experiences and to be able to have that personal music journey. So my credentials come from my own personal experience and putting together shows and um yeah, and youth pastorship.
I like that. Definitely when it comes to the babies, they have a natural sense of you can't tell me nothing if you haven't been there. Okay. And you're laughing, but really, truly, they have to feel that. Before it was like you say and they do. It has to be a buy in with if you're having that relationship with teaching and guiding them, my perspective.
What I've learned on my journey is that love is the medium.
Yes.
Love is the medium for connectivity. I teach at youth prisons on Saturdays, and I go there and I mentor. I bring my songwriting program, recording equipment, lesson plans, and things like that, and I share all these artist development and techniques and lessons with them. But I've never been to prison. I don't have anything on my record other than a speeding ticket or a parking ticket. Um, but however, I know that, and I'm very transparent with them. I had like I'm not like squeaky clean like where my childhood where I wasn't doing wild stuff, before I got into like pastorship and stuff, But the point is kind of like you don't have to live that way. These are personal choices, and I was in the midst of poor environments too, and it's easy to get trapped in a cycle of survival, and everyone around you is doing X, Y, and Z as means of survival, and so that's the only thing you're privy to and know and have access to. So a lot of kids are getting themselves in these prison situations based off of their environments, and that's all they know to be true. Someone comes along with, um, you know, a spark of hope for their own personal endeavors, their own artistic endeavors. It can pose a change of mindset, and I feel to the detriment that I haven't been to prison and stuff. Sometimes that does leave a gap of relativity between us, but I teach in such a way that's very laxed and not uptight and like it's very like you would have swore we was all just homies, you know? And that's the thing. And I'm not saying that there has to be a boundary of respect. They start just call me sir, and all that stuff and whatever. But we joke and we laugh and we have a good time. And I think that sometimes that's more powerful than a relative story.
No, I agree because we're all going to come from different walks of life, but that does not mean that you cannot still guide and provide guidance. I'll go back to what you said originally. You said love. So you feel in love in those spots where you may not be able to relate. So that's the connection
That's
from
the
my
connective.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah, and the love, and not unsurprisingly, I always ask my groups of young men about fathers in their lives, right? And either their fathers have been absent their whole lives or they're in jail.
Mm,
That's the
mm,
that's the consensus,
hmm
and this is real life consensus, real live consensus. And so, in a lot of ways, when I step into these places, sometimes I'm the only positive male figure in their lives that's encouraging them and giving them guidance. And that I feel is a void that people don't really pay attention to.
Mhm.
They're just looking at the what the result is. Oh, they did a crime, they did a whatever. But when I'm in that class space, they showed that they're not kids, but they showed that they're not criminalized. Their personalities, their beings, they're vibrant, they're intelligent. They have I always just kind of seek out where they are up here. And the guys that I got, they're solid, man. They're just it's just a lifestyle that they grew up in and that's normal to them, you know? But if I can introduce something that's different, I always give an analogy for like being a light in a cave. And in this cave, everyone's in the cave, but it's dark in there, you know? And you go out, you come in with a little candle, and it's a light. It's not it may not be the biggest floodlight or anything, but if anyone wants to follow that candle back out the cave, they can. And then when they're smart, they see the candle and they follow it out. And I think this is also a biblical principle, but I don't have a scripture to back it. But this is my own personal philosophy. And I like to think of myself as a little bit of light in a really dark place for them.
I love that. A word I use is exposure and engagement. Look,
Mm,
I'm going to expose you to the light. And now you have the opportunity to be engaged with me and come out of this cave that you
yeah.
just mentioned. So I think that's a wonderful way to engage with children that may not have the opportunity to have an environment to show multiple ways. With that being said, um, I do want to dive into music, and then we'll come back and we'll piggyback back and forth. So,
Okay. Yeah, because I can
music.
ramble on. Sorry if I'm a
No,
rambler.
no, no, no. You're absolutely fine. We're going to go into many things that you do, but I
Sure.
got to talk about music. Music has turned me all the way out in a
Good.
wonderful way. It's been my counselor, it's been my encourager, it's been my something that made me soft. Music is multiple things to me. And I say all of that, sir, to see if you can identify a song that has either blessed you, distracted you, or provided lessons.
You talking
Now,
about a particular song?
yes, but before you answer, there's a couple of rules to this. If you can sing, I need you to sing your throat box out. If you can rap, I need you to come
Uh,
hard in the paint. But, but, if you cannot do either one, I need you to say whatever it is with passion. You know when they say in the streets, stand 10 toes down?
yeah,
I
yeah,
need
yeah, for sure.
I need to be able to feel it. So I'll go back to my original question. Can you identify a song that either has provided lessons, distractions, or blessings?
Um, there's this common song that's he wrote to his daughter, and I'm blanking on the title right now. It's called "Show Me." I think it's called "Show." Yeah, "Show Me That You Love." That's the name of the song, and it features Jill Scott. And the reason why this song hits is because it's a letter to his daughter. It's a story about his daughter and the relationship with his daughter, and you get the impression that they don't have the best relationship, or she's kind of grown up and grown out of a close relationship with her father. And that really resonated with me because my eldest daughter is a rebel, and she's very beautiful and vibrant and intelligent. But yeah, it's like sometimes when you have children and you're parenting, there's rough patches with your kids when they're developing and growing into their own, and the lack of whatever communication or anything could be disheartening or you know um, detrimental to the relationship and the bond. But this song really hit me because I was like, man, I felt that, like, and I literally cried on the hook because Jill Scott's voice is just butter. She's so good. And you know, I listen to that song from time to time just to kind of like it brought a place of healing though, because it was like it felt like rappers don't always talk about things like this. They're always it's always like a braggadocio or a some form of a impress you presentation on a popular level. But these types of songs are the ones that I feel that you could live to and you can hear over and over and over and never get tired.
I love that. I love that that you're speaking to a father perspective from a daughter perspective, because sometimes it can get complicated because the men may know how they see life and how they have conquered things, and the young lady is coming up to say, hey, I'm trying to figure things out and you pulling, too close this way. So I love when a man can identify a song talking about his daughter and his relationship with his daughter, and not just daughter, a son and a mother, or children, period. We know it's growth in that. You really find
Super
out who
growth.
you are through your children.
For real, for real.
So, with that being said, can we talk about the impetus for you to even start your nonprofit? What was that place, that day and time to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, and to have it called Manifest Academy, which is a great, great word because we all are manifestors. So
Yes.
give me some background.
Um, okay. It's a long story. So when I was doing my youth pastorship, I also worked at a local boys and girls club. And this I was like probably 19 years old. They had just got like the very first version of Pro Tools, and that's how old I am. And so at any rate, they had this gear and no one knew what to do with it. I'm a kid fresh out of high school. I start tinkering, asking questions. Can I use it? Became every day. Self-taught, asking questions, learning from whatever, whoever, however, and just trying to figure it out because I rap too. And I was trying to like get in the studio at that time. This is the first introduction of the capabilities of home studios. So the Boys and Girls Club had this, and we developed a culture there that allowed us to work, or allowed me to work with younger musicians, like junior high school kids, elementary school kids, while I'm a, you know, almost out of my teenage 1920 era. Um, and so with that, that's kind of how the essence of what I do developed. And then between the back and forth between working corporate job, going back to philanthropy, going back to corporate job, going back to philanthropy. Um, one of the second rodeos I did with Boys and Girls Clubs, I just got fed up because they would take the program that I built, get all this funding, and then not pay me. Like, when this is coming from the essence, the source is the intuitiveness to put cultural things together and then facilitate, right? So I always got like frustrated with that, and I had like a vendetta for years. But then I just realized I was like, I just got to make my own thing. I just
There
got to
you
make my
go.
own thing, and you know, so I always wish I had like a mentor that would could have come my way to be like, man, you got something. Like, here's how you like put this together. But it was there. But I chose the word I manifest was the very first concept of it, and it was just a branch off of what I was doing at the Boys and Girls Clubs. Um, and then after leaving them a few times, they've gotten so much money from the first, rodeo that we did. We were in like a closet almost space, it felt like, and now they got full-fledged $100,000 studios. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I'm seeing the aftermath. When I left, I was like, yo, we built that. Like, why why can't we just go ask for it? So anyways, later I didn't actually launch Manifest Academy until I got to Vegas. So this is only last year in 2024 is when it became an official IRS acknowledged 501c3 organization. But I've been doing the work for well over a decade, and it's just me not having the gusto to believe in myself to be like, you can do it. Do you know how to make articles of incorporation? Do you know how to register it with the city and state? And do you know how to like, I didn't know none of that. But you got to have the gusto to want to find out. And you can't be afraid to not know. You can't be afraid to say, I don't know. I'm not intelligent and that's something I'm not good at. But can you learn? I feel like when people feel stuck, they just get stuck and they don't remember that they have the capability to learn something new, you know? And you're going to
I'm
learn something new.
I like that you said that. And I'm gonna have a pause moment. So just so you know, it's an invisible pew up here. You can't see them. I can't see them, but you're speaking to someone's spirit, whether it's today or a year from now, 5 years from now, to encourage them where you were originally on your path where you're like, hey, I didn't know about any of these things, but I
Right.
kept going. And the more you seek, the more you will find. And you have to believe in yourself. Now, as far as the Boys and Girls Club, you look at it like that. That was your origin. It taught you some lesson, and what you've given to them, other kids can benefit. But now you have your own thing. You have your own thing to do your own way without anybody else saying you have to do it like
Yep.
this or that.
Yeah. And I don't have to ask permission. I just conjure it and I do it.
There you go.
And that's the beauty of it all. And I used to always get frustrated. There was one year, I'm gonna tell you this is how frustrating this is. All right, so one year I had a mega star kid, Latino kid, 16, 17 years old, young rapper in Wilmington, California. All right, so Wilmington, California is predominantly Latino. So they had a young champion, someone to champion after, right? And so everybody was just ecstatic, like it was a phenomenon. I think one of his very first music video had 30,000 views on it, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, a young kid that we just walked in the doors of the Boys and Girls Club one day and said, I rap. And then I made something for him. And then that's what happened. So, with all of this being said, his album was coming out, right? He did a project. And I'm like, let's do a release party. So, I was trying to like get fundraising. So, local Power 106 is a prominent radio station in Southern California. And they did this thing back then called the celebrity basketball games where they would go to local high schools and things like that to help these entities fundraise, and celebrities would pop up and stuff. So I asked, can we do the Power 106 celebrity basketball game here? They got the gym. Why not open the doors, bring it in? It was going to help do what X, Y, and Z. Shut down at the top. They didn't want nothing to do with it. Either A, because of liabilities or association or whatever political agendas, never happened. So what I started doing was I just started sorting out, seeking out information on my own behalf. So the local Latino radio station, 96.3 at the time was called Latino 96.3. They endorsed it. They gave us free PSAs. They gave us I got a venue. I got this local theater that I partnered with. And these are the types of things that I've been doing this whole time and just never did it for myself. So
Mm,
everything we're seeing is just what I've been doing. I've just
mm.
been doing it.
So, isn't it great to take a moment to pivot and to look back and see what you've done in order to manifest it and bring it into the future? If you had not pivoted and looked and said, wait a minute, I was doing this all along, you were your own entity from the get go.
That's true.
But sometimes we're not aware, we don't see it. And that's why it's important for individuals like you to share your story to encourage other people to say, well, if he did it, I can do it. And we're not saying, and I'll speak from my point of view, we're not saying that it is a bed of flowers. You're going to have roadblocks. You're going to have stuff you have to go back and redo. And you go, wait a minute, I had no idea. But the point to it all is to keep going. Don't stop. If this is a passion of yours, you have to keep moving.
Yeah, and this is in terms of entrepreneurship. People there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5s. I actually excuse me, I actually have a 9 to 5. My 9 to 5 just happens to be in a youth studio. I work for another nonprofit organization that does what we do, and guess where I'm at? Inside of a boys and girls club, but this studio here is a different entity, and I have autonomy from boys and girls clubs. I'm just here as a studio producer. I don't work for boys and girls club, but ironically, I'm still here in a boys and girls club. So like now it's kind of like this company allows me to, they respect my experience and my knowledge and all that, and they let me kind of like create the space, and they see all the beautiful things I'm able to create in their space. And then outside of here, I have my own nonprofit that I work in different ways with the youth. And so my whole life is consumed with the Monday through Friday, all through the weekend, every day, all day. This is what I do. But I had to position my life that way. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked out that way.
No, no, I definitely understand. And even just for not just for entrepreneurs, I think anytime you have a dream or something in your soul, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in a workspace, it could be a project or a some anything that you're pursuing. I
Yeah.
would encourage anybody to keep going even when you have that hard time where you fall down. That's the blueprint for you to assess it and say, okay, that part didn't work, let's move forward.
I say entrepreneurship because some people have hobbies and they're very passionate about their hobbies. And the difference between the hobby and the business venture is at some point you're going to want to scale up, and you're going to want to, and to be able to scale up, you have to establish an entity of some sort.
I agree.
And I always say you can't really do business until you're a business. And now when I do business, I don't talk person to person. This is entity to entity. And I had to learn that. This is things that I had to learn along my way, and it's cute to say you do a lot of philanthropy, but when then someone asks for your EIN number so they can write some stuff
Hello?
off, do you have it together? And the same thing if you do hair, if you do nails or whatever, if you you're a mechanic, you're da 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 da. You could love to fix cars for fun. You could fix your homies' cars. You could, whatever. But if you want, as soon as you want to make some bread and you want to like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to do this no more. I want to do this. Then establishing the entity is key. And I
Yeah.
think that that's what I was missing out on. And I didn't have the mentorship to walk me through that process. I just sought out the information. Even people that I thought could help me said that they had other people that helped them that they didn't
Mm,
know. So I was like,
mm,
I'd rather actually know so that if someone asks me, I can be a guide, you
yeah.
know?
Well, and that's the thing. What we learn, we it does us no good if we keep it to ourselves. We want to share so other people can grow. And I believe what you put out is what you get back in return as well. So
That's true.
if yeah, I truly believe that that's just the law of the land for me in my perspective. Other people may think different, but that's just how I believe it is. But let's get back to this music bag and let's talk about a song that you sung the majority of your life and you just enjoyed it. And then one day you're like, wait 1 minute. I've been singing that song and jamming to it, and now I realize what it's all about. Can you identify a song?
Oh, so one that is not my own.
It could be any song, but you've sung it for so long, and then one day you came to that pivotal moment, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought it meant this, and you realize it meant something else.
There's a lot of songs that I feel are inappropriate that were I was singing as a kid that I thought it ended up being some like, sensual like craziness. And
Mhm,
I felt like there's a lot of songs, but I'm not gonna sing those songs. But that's what comes to mind first. Like singing these songs as a little kid, and then you get
mhm.
older and you're like, oh, that's what this.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
But in terms of, let's see, man. I'm gonna just allude to one of my favorite songs because I don't want to hold the show up. There's a lot of I like in my teenagers going forward. I understood what was going on. It was like It's only when I was like a kid where I didn't get what was actually happening in the song.
Mm-hmm.
But let me pull up this common joint right quick because it's off the top. I don't recall it off the top.
Oh, so this is another Common song?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite artists in the world.
Okay, yes, because I'm like, this is two for two.
Oh, for sure. He's one of my favorite lyricists, and the lyrics is just all right. So here it goes. Real people walk in the streets. The streets is talking, often it's beef. The city never does. People walk and talk and they sleep. Cold sweats and wet dreams on how to get green. Our faith is all in the Jeep. Black souls, raw and they deep. Hypes trying to talk with no teeth. Shorties yelling ball or retreat. A lesson we all speak at one point or another. What you expect from a one who smokes a joint with his mother. Anointed hustlers in the fatherless region through the pain. Wish they knew that God was just teaching. We want decent homes, so dreams we say out loud like speaker phones just to keep them on. It's like the colored song that keeping on. I guess knowing I'm weak is when I'm really being strong. Somehow through the dust, I could see the dawn like the Bishop Magic Wand. That's why I write freedom songs for the people.
Wow.
Hold up, wait. This one right here is crazy, right here. Just one more. I wonder if the spirit of Bob Marley and Haile Selassie try to watch me as the cops trying to be pop and lock me. They cocky. Plus, their mentality is Nazi. The way they treat blacks, I want to snap like paparazzi. We're the
Mm,
children of a better God, searching for better jobs. We could cop we cop ghetto cars, trying not to catch a charge, and then just stuff like that. Like it's it's very edifying. It's intelligent. It's witty. It's yeah, poignant, potent, all
so
those
when
things.
you first heard it, was it just the beat, the energy of it, and then once you went back and listened to the lyrics in detail, you're like, wait a minute, he's really giving us a perspective on life. When he said, the mother that smokes a joint with her son or her child,
Yep.
like that gives you a perspective, like the child thinks that they're on the same level as the parent if they can smoke a joint together.
Right.
Now, this is not for me to say anything. What you do with your child is your business, but it gives you a perspective on some things.
Yeah, it's a good take. Valid truth or not, whatever perceptions, but that's just his opinion and how he wrote it and phrased it was very powerful. Um, and I appreciate lyricists that actually have things in their lyrics that are kind of educating. Like, there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place to turn up, and there's a time and place to, but more times than not, I'm listening to music like this that gives me like empowerment or a sense of centered grounding, and there's like some moral
Yeah,
positioning there in the lyrics and how we perceive societies and how we are operating in our own manner to enhance society or observations of destruction of our own society from our own people and things like this. This is the kind of music I feel like hip hop culture was actually founded on. Um,
absolutely.
in the early 90s, the boom of Afrocentricity and in all the songs and in the perversion of record labels, and now we have all these artists that are just, it's like everybody's druggies and all this stuff, and there is no Afrocentricity, and actually hip hop charting is less Afro period. And that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely have many lens, and that's why I'm here to always talk about from the guest point of view how you see it, how it makes it relevant or not. Before we move forward, can you please share the name of that song just in case somebody want to tap in?
It's a song by Common. It's called Real People. It's off his album called B, which is my favorite album by him, by the way, because he went through like a stint where it was on personal growth stint where the first couple albums was crazy, and then there was one really experimental album, and then people thought he was weird, and then he came back with this album, and Kanye produced this whole thing.
Mm.
So it was like a rebirth, a refresher, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, the like Common is back," you know. And that's what that album felt like, you know, and it was just some of the best songs that are on this particular album. It's called B.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I always like to make sure the information is provided so we have the opportunity to go back and check it out.
Yeah.
Um, let's play Connect the Dots. And
Okay.
you've already like provided some background of why you were in this space with children. Give me your background or your information for being a songwriter and how you provide this this gift to your children that you have in your programs, or just give us some background with that, because we know songwriting can be very catchy, but it also has to be relevant to catch the viewers or the listener ear. So talk about that.
Um, I fell in love with writing at 16 years old. Um, a friend of mine in my driver's ed course by the name of Blue, um, he wasn't like a super active artist at the time. We were still in 10th grade. But he had experience. I came in with a Source magazine to class one day, and which indicates that I'm a rap fan. And he was like, "Oh, so like, let me see your mag." And we start talking music and hip hop and rap and all this. He's like, "Do you write?" I'm like, "No." And I was like, "Do you write?" He's like, "Kinda." He's like, "You should write something." Then the next day, I came back with my very first rap. I've been a rap fan. I had been a rap fan since MC Hammer.
Oh wow. Okay.
You
Too
know,
legit.
yeah.
Too
So
legit to
I went
quit.
to the Too Legit to Quit concert when that dropped. My mom brought me, and so those were some of the earlier, like, you know, when I was a child type thing. But by then, I was already listening to Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Public Enemy, Tupac, Biggie, Nas, uh, Tribe Called Quest, Most Def,
Okay.
Pharoah Monch, Black Thought, The Roots. Like, I have a pretty extensive, like, from east to west, knowledge of raps, and I don't think people realize it. But when you're memorizing rap songs, you're learning, and you can recite it back. You're learning how to rap. Like, you really just don't understand it. Like, you just don't, I guess, like, logistically, logically process the effort.
So
But
you're telling me LL Cool J song. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the
and in
back
the
of my
back of my
mind, I hear
mind.
my conscience call, telling me I need a girl that's as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I see I need love. So you're telling me I'm rapping just because I can remember that particular
Yeah, so
song.
you learn the cadence and you learn the styles and the fluctuation of the voice tones, and you learn all these things just by simply reciting the lyrics back, and you're on beat. So that's the equation of how to rap. And so only thing difference is you're now writing your own words, now thinking about this thing methodically. How do I fit these thoughts of mine into a syllable rhythmic pattern to rhyme and come out as a verse? So, anyways, I wrote my verse, came back, spit it. He liked it, which this was at the first time in my life, other than like playing street basketball, I felt good about myself. Like, doing something, because I didn't play professional sports, leagues, none of that. I was just doing dumb stuff as a kid. And this is before church. So, um, you know, I wasn't into nothing but causing some trouble and trying to talk to girls.
So you needed an outlet that was centered.
Yeah. So this made me feel like, damn, I'm actually good at this. And then that turned into formulated rap crews and rap battles and rap ciphers at the high school, and me being in biology class, being so enamored by lyricism and writing and wanting to have my verse done by lunchtime so I could spit it for the homies and impress people and, you know, do stuff like that. That was the initial motivation for it. Being prepared to be in a cipher because I'm gonna battle someone and I gotta have something ready. You know, if I
And
have
it
something
gotta be
ready, then
dope too. It
and it
not just
gotta be
ready.
dope too, you know. And I think that's the respect factor was on my priority list before anything else was just kind of trying to be able to craft it so it's dope, and studying and listening and really like in 12th grade it really helped me because I took creative writing. At this point we'd already been rhyming for like about a year and a half, but the poetics, and I still remember Mrs. Crane, shout out Mrs. Crane. um she knew she was actually the one that endorsed our school group. We had like a club. We had to call it the hip hop club, because what would happen is everyone thought that there was a fight happening when we had rap ciphers, and they would always break it up, like the deans, the school assistant principals, and it'd be like 50, 60 people crowded around, and you think somebody's getting their butt whooped in the middle of the cipher, but it's just three or four people, beatboxer, people rapping, you know what I mean? And
So can I stop you for a
yeah,
second?
go ahead, go ahead.
That means they were not culturally aware. If they can associate that with a actual
Fight.
correct. So they were not culturally aware or tapped in. So they came to serve the community, but they didn't know what the community needed.
Yeah, which is the truth of still a lot of reality in the world that I live in now. But what I did was we backdoored, we did everything official. We made a school club with the Constitution and got two teachers to endorse it, hosted in the classroom. We started throwing shows in the amphitheater, charging $2 to sit in the amphitheater and watch
Oh,
us battle and stuff. So I think this has always been innately in me from the jump, because it's like this is culture. We got to find, if we can't just do it organically and there's all these the hoops we got to jump through, how do you get through them gracefully, and how do you establish systematic things so that we're foundational?
yeah.
And I that's the thinking back part of like, man, I've always been doing this. I've always been doing this.
Yes. And from there, this has led you on this journey of teaching other individuals, mainly your youth, how to form songs, how to put it together, the tone, the cadence, and all of that, and maybe how to deliver it as well. Am I
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry. I kind of cut it off at high school. Then after that, I got into church. I learned how to play drums, guitar, piano, led worship teams. Basically just from just being there. Give me a guitar. How do you? Oh, this song is chords A, C, D, G. Okay, how do you play A, C, D, G? I'm gonna practice. They gave me a guitar. The church gave me my first guitar. I wanted to learn how to play keys, so it all started off with like the church does so many events that sometimes there's these more intimate settings that are more gracious to the presentation. So you could have someone that's not that skillful sit in and, get the feel. But I did a lot of that, and then eventually became able to lead on an instrument, and vocally, and learn the songs and learning all these different genres and stuff like that. And then just making records and being in rap groups and performing at concerts and going all these studio sessions, working with multitudes of artists in this like very complex system of network of artists in the South Bay, California. Um, but that's my tenure as a writer. Getting placements and things like that. That's kind of like key. You know what I'm saying?
So with all of these things, if we wrap everything up that you talked about your background, you talked about you loving rapping, your songwriting, you've participated in the Boys and Girls Club, the foundation of a lot of things. If you package all that up, what do you offer to a student that is new coming into Manifest Academy? How would you package that up and give it to someone that has no idea about it?
That's kind of a, I mean, I can't give a blanketed thing right now, but I also let you know that I work with all the students on a per case by case basis.
Oh,
So
okay.
sometimes a kid comes in and they have a writing skill but no rhythmic vocal skill, but they want to sing. So then that poses the thing of meeting them where they have a need and doing vocal warm ups and tone matching and rhythm exercises and stuff like that. or if I have the other way around, they can sing great but they can't write, then I will, impose a program for them that encourages the writing aspect, tapping into emotions and feelings, and all those things. So I meet kids where they are. Sometimes I get a whole superstar that walks through the door. And there's no grooming that I can do on a technical level, but then let's just say they've never recorded before.
Mm.
So now I got you because you don't know how to properly stand in front of the mic. You don't know how to, when you're belting to back off a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't know like all these little tips and tricks and so it's a wide array multitude of approaches per kid, but I do have blanketed programs like the songwriting course. No matter what level you are, you're gonna learn something. The prison program is like self character development, artist, self empowerment, entrepreneurship through music. Then I also have what's called uprising, where it's like a live performance, stage etiquette, PR, how to be in front of the camera, how to be a showman, entertainer, and all those things. And
And
uh,
what about your DJ lessons program? I saw that you also had that. How often are children tapping into that?
so those are case by case basis. That's through our DJ. We have a DJ, a part of our organization. His name is DJ Mac. Shout out DJ Mac. DJ Mac is incredible DJ that has a huge heart for kids, and he offers lessons when students want to sign up. It's not like a highly popular program. I wish I had a facility because for one, um, you need to just have a space and have all the gear there. Not every family is going to be able to afford the $500 to a $2,000 DJ controller with the laptop and the software and all that stuff. So it's nice to have it at a hub.
Mhm.
Um, and so since it is case by case basis, he does like opportunities where he could do it here at the rec center, or if the parents want to do it at their home and they consent and they're okay with that, you know what I'm saying, then he could pop up with his turntables and stuff or whatever. So that isn't the most momentous program, but it is available.
Which is great because we have children that like to tap into other things. It's not just playing music. They want to, well, I say in the sense of playing an instrument.
You're right.
They want to do another because that's also a business that can be
Oh, highly monetized. Yeah.
yes. So I get that. I totally get that. But how do you identify your children in your program? I know you mentioned parks and recreation, school districts, other partnerships. Do you go and do a collaborative project with them? And it kind of is like you guys are sharing children. How do you identify the children in your program?
At this point, I truly don't need to source from any of these places because we've built up such a prominence in the community that when people see the resources that we provide kids, like professional interviews, professional performance clips, music videos, photo shoots, headshots, artist portfolios, just all the things, it catches wind. People just call me now. They just like, oh, sign my kid up. Like, we seen what so and so's doing with their kid. Like, that's at the point we're at right now.
Well, which is great. So that means you've marketed yourself enough to say this is what I provide. Before we get out of here, because I do have one more question.
Yeah.
If a parent wants to tap into what you're offering, I know you do have a website. You do like, for example, when you were at First Friday, you had a booth there as well. So if someone wants to get in touch, can you provide websites or social media handles. And if you have any upcoming events you would like to share or promote, this is the time to do so.
All right, that's wonderful. So if you or anyone you know that has talented youth or someone interested in developing their talents, they can go to the Manifest Academy LV website, which is manifestacademylv.org. And it has all of our programs on there. And it also has registry links. If you want to contact us via email, you can contact manifestacademylv at gmail or Manifest Academy Info, sorry, Manifest Academy Info at gmail.com. And we have monthly family raves at Area 15 inside of the portal where our youth DJs spin. So family rave is a concept by Jen at Area 15, and she's collaborating with us because we're providing some youth DJs that are 12 years old, and they're spinning at it's what's called the portal. Huge room, 500, 600 people every time, every month, and you all ages. There's babies on up. They come in their rave costumes. It's primarily EDM dance music. That's the vibe. That's the theme. It's a rave. You know, just minus all the other things that
Yeah.
adults do.
Of course. And if somebody wants to tap in or be a participant, or even better yet, get an opportunity to provide the music for something like that, is there a website for that, or they just contact you guys?
They can send an email to Manifestacademyinfo at gmail.com with any direct inquiries. I don't mind either way. And that way we can make sure that we are addressing anything that you guys want to do.
You have one question. Right now, this episode is about discovering you. What have you discovered about yourself that you realize that is, of course, we've been talking about this throughout. It's kind of been a running theme, but what can you package up and say you've discovered about yourself right now?
I realized that like everything that I've been doing as a culmination over the years has equipped me for where my mission is right now. But without acknowledging that and without embracing that and owning it and fully putting on the garments of what I call like my higher self, it was just kind of like chasing in circles. And I also realized that my gift isn't being a musician, it's evoking the powers that people have within them that are lie dormant and are just idle. And mediums are just music and all the cultural experiences that I create that help spark those things. And all the while, people like to package the music aspect and all that, but I understand that the deep driving passion that comes through all of this, that's where that comes from, and the conviction to help others when no one else will do it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely understand that. And my last question before we get out of here, would you please dedicate a song to the world that represents part of your heart or all of your heart? Because music is my thing, so we have to exit with music. Is there a particular song you would like to dedicate?
There's a song called Whistling, and it's by Moonchild.
Okay, and give me a little bit of details of what it's about and why you choose to dedicate that to the world.
This song is about, I guess it's about an escapism in a way, but a positive one. And the chorus goes, "I got to get out of town. I don't know when I'll be back around." I say that right now because my life is very busy and like I thrive in chaos and not it's like a healthily functioning chaos. And sometimes it's nice to just get away from everything and reset. And it's nice. I like to go to nature and like reset where it's quiet and I don't have to deal with humans and I have to like observe and be grounded and like I like those types of things. So it's kind of like a reset song, a reminder of a reset. And that's why I like it. And the beat slaps and the vocals are amazing.
Well, in Moonchild, if I'm not mistaken, they're like a jazzy kind of group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Neo-soulish, vibey, yeah.
Yes. I like, she had, if I'm not mistaken, they did a Tiny Desk episode. I really
Yep.
like her style. And I love that she gives like individually credit to the people that perform with her. She was like, it's not just me. Like she has a super chill vibe. So yeah, definitely you get a clap for that one. Before we get out of here, I always talk about the journey and the destination. The journey is where we learn and where we grow, but the destination is where we celebrate. Far too often, we're working, and we don't celebrate. And when you don't celebrate, you don't appreciate. And when you don't appreciate, then you feel empty. So you gotta celebrate, you gotta have that time in the destination, but when it's all said and done, you got to get back into that journey so you can continue to learn, to grow, to elevate, and be ready for the next destination again. So when I have my men on, I salute them. So I salute you, sir. You guys, please put your hands together and thank my unique, amazing guests. I love that you have many perspectives, and I plan on tapping in to find out more in the future and see where you're at. You guys, please put your hands together and thank Mr. Rob Lacy from Manifest Academy. Thank you.
Yeah, you're beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I say to all my guests, because I am a native of Las Vegas and I represent Vegas to the fullest, I'll see you out here in these Las Vegas streets. Thank you.
Next time.